Hi, everybody. I'm Gloria Moraga. This is the Political Woman Podcast. Hey, it's Friday. At least by the time I post this, it's going to be Friday. How are you? I am excited because I got to listen to some good music today. Kamala Harris was on fire. And why? Because she had all of her guys with her. She had all of her guys, the boss. Mama's house, Big Mama's house, dude. And Tim Walz also had a celebrity or two with him. And Donald Trump, not to be left out, if we're talking about poets, because I think Bruce Springsteen is one of America's greatest poets. Trump had some poetry as well. So let's get to it. Start with the boss, of course, in Georgia. Bruce Springsteen performing for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. And here's what he had to say.
Thank you. I'm Bruce Springsteen, and I am here today to support Kamala Harris and Tim Walz for President and Vice President of the United States, and to oppose Donald Trump and J.D. Vance. Now, here's why. I want a president who reveres the Constitution, who does not threaten but wants to protect and guide our great democracy, who believes in the rule of law and the peaceful transfer of power, who will fight for a woman's right to choose, and who wants to create a middle-class economy that will serve all our citizens. There is only one candidate in this election who holds those principles dear: Kamala Harris. She's running to be the 47th president of the United States. Donald Trump is running to be an American tyrant. He does not understand this country, its history, or what it means to be deeply American. And that's why November 5th, I'm casting my vote for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. I urge all of you who believe in the American way to join me. Thank you. This is land of hope and dreams.
I'd love to play some of the Springsteen music, but I don't know. I just get dinged so much on copyright issues. I'm not going to do it, but wow, what a guy. And you know, I got trolls on YouTube earlier complaining about my short on Springsteen. And I will just say this, Bruce Springsteen is an American treasure. And no, I don't believe that just because a celebrity says do this or do that, you should do it. But I do think that Kamala Harris is the best choice for the country, and I trust Bruce Springsteen as well. He is a poet. He is, yes, a performer, but the man writes about this country with such beauty and pain and sorrow and heartache and love. So there you go. Another man, honestly, if I could have just used every bit of Tyler Perry's talk today in Georgia, I would. But it would just be too long. Maybe I'm thinking about pulling it all together and just posting his whole statement. Because he talked about the American dream. And he shared the story about how he lived on the street and for a while lived in his car and just would cuddle up with his grandma's quilt. And of course, he brought that around to his final words about America being a quilt. A quilt, not a white sheet. Tyler Perry was awesome. And he is a writer. Here's some of what he had to say, just a little bit of what he had to say.
So when I first started making a little money, the first thing I did was checked into the Trump Hotel because I wanted to feel that specialness. But then I started to do my research. Research is important. Truth is important. Facts are important. I found out about a discrimination lawsuit against he and his father because they didn't want people like me in their building. I found out about him taking a full-page ad out on young black men in the New York Times. I found out about the birther lie. We all heard it, saying that Barack Obama was not born in this country. There are undertones there and there are echoes there that we all had to pay attention to. So I watched him when he won the presidency. I watched him say that there were good people on both sides when neo-Nazis were screaming, "Jews will not replace us." I watched him from the Central Park 5 to Project 2025. And what I realized is that in this Donald Trump America, there is no dream that looks like me. We want a president who believes that this American dream is for everyone. And that president is Kamala Harris. We want a president that understands, like I did in Georgia. When I came here, I didn't have anything, but I had a dream. So I worked, and against all odds, I worked my way to where I am now. It was here in Georgia. See, in Georgia, you know what we do? We don't sit around and complaining. We go to work. It was here where I became a studio owner. My first studio was on Krog Street. Now that is Krog Street Market. And then I bought another studio, which was on Greenbrier, right near Greenbrier Mall on Continental Colony Parkway. And it was there that Barack Obama came in 2012 to do a fundraiser. And he was getting ready to leave, and he said, "Come ride with me. We're going to my house for a fundraiser." And I'm saying, "Wait, you want me to ride with you in the Beast?" So I get in the car, and traffic is stopped, and we're riding, and he's talking to me. And for those of you who are old enough to remember Charlie Brown, all I heard was wah, 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 wah. I finally said, "I'm sorry, Mr. President, but I haven't heard a word you said, because I'm in awe of this country. What a great country that you could become president of the United States." And he turned to me quick as a flash and he said, "Yes, but what a great country that you could become Tyler Perry." From that moment, I went and I bought a bigger studio. I bought Fort McPherson Army Base. Right now, where we hire thousands of people are coming through that doors. And I don't care what was stacked up against me. I don't care. I didn't pay attention to that. What I paid attention to was, how do I help somebody? I broke through that door, laid it down on its side, and let it become a ramp so that somebody else can get higher too. You want to hear something about an American dream? Fort McPherson was once a Confederate Army base, where there were Confederate soldiers trying to plot and plan on how to keep 3.9 million Negroes enslaved. Now that land is owned by me.
Well, Tim Walz was not to be left out. He was in Wilmington, North Carolina. And who do you want to be with in North Carolina? Sweet baby James Taylor.
I'm here for the state of North Carolina. The place I was raised up as far as I got, as up as I grew here. So, and I love North Carolina, and I'm proud of my roots here, and I often, when I'm in North Carolina, I always think of my dad, who was at the University of North Carolina for most of his career. My dad and our governor and then Senator Terry Sanford, they had a project back in the 50s and 60s called the Research Triangle, and it was a collaboration between education and high tech commerce, and they basically had a vision for North Carolina that has really paid huge dividends for all of us. It's been great. So I always think about I think of that as my father was a true blue Democrat always, and stayed a Democrat. He welcomed passionately the Civil Rights Act, and he stayed blue. He stayed blue. And he and my mom, when we lived here, he had a sense of North Carolina as a place that embraces the future and that looks at reality straight in the face and happily engages with the challenges that we have. And it's that North Carolina, I think, that is so represented by everybody is here tonight, and Governor Cooper, Josh Stein, and you, Governor Waltz, you also represent that North Carolina, that America that knows that there's work to be done, and we haven't got time to fool around with anybody's narcissistic project. We need to get to work, and these times call for more cooperation globally than we've had since World War II.
Agree.
And it's time to summon that energy. So I'm so thrilled and so proud that North Carolina is actually in a position in this campaign, in this election cycle, to save the country.
Yeah. This is the year.
That's true.
Vote right through this place.
We got to do it. We got to do it. We know we have to do it. So I thank you.
Well, we are grateful. North Carolina, everything James said is true. You're known across the country. We've seen this. You see the dedication and the commitment. Let's write history through this thing. Let's win this thing. Let's make sure you're part of it, and go knock them out. What a privilege.
In a moment of relaxed judgment, he named the little varmint after me, little baby James. So I drove down Route 95 to Chapel Hill, and on the way, this song blew in the window. Been leaving the window open ever since, but I was waiting for another one.
I'm going to put some actual info in this, and it's going to come from former President Barack Obama. But first, I want to play Trump and do the Trump soundbite. Now, Trump also had some poetry to share. And you know what I'm talking about? If you follow Trump, if you're familiar with Trump, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's the snake. Here's Trump. I'm just going to show just a teeny weeny bit of the snake.
Would you like to hear the snake again? You sure? Because it's a nice evening. Is there any place better than being at a Trump rally, the biggest rally, the greatest movement? All right, we'll do the snake, yes? So this is a little play on words, not her kind of words, word salad. I don't like the term, but it's sort of true. It's terrible. I don't know what's going on in her mind. This is the snake, and this is really about illegal immigration and people that come into our countries that are murderers, killers, drug dealers, gang members, prisoners of the worst sort from all over the world. On her way to work one morning, down the path along the lake, a tender-hearted woman saw a poor, half-frozen snake. His pretty-colored skin had been all frosted with the dew. Poor thing, she cried, I'll take you in and I'll take care of you. Take me in, oh tender woman, take me in for heaven's sake. Take me in, O tender woman, sighed the vicious snake.
All right. Look, The Snake is a song that was actually written by a civil rights activist, Oscar Brown, in 1963. And it was a hit song for Al Wilson 5 years later. So it was like 1968. Yeah. And it was the same words, but when Al Wilson sang it, he would say the snake. You know, he'd do the hissing sound every time he would say snake. I wish I could play it for you. It was so good. The snake. So Donald Trump needs to work on it. But here's the rub. Oscar Brown's children have asked Trump to cease and desist. They wrote a letter saying that Trump's interpretation of their father's song is not what their father intended. Yeah, their father was talking about being betrayed by friends. But this is not about immigrants. And depicting immigrants as snakes is not what the author, according to his children, would want. But Trump uses it anyway. And here's Barack Obama talking about Trump doing crazy.
But here's the interesting thing, is he acts so crazy and it's become so common that people no longer take it seriously. I'm here to explain to you, just because he acts goofy does not mean his presidency wouldn't be dangerous. And you do not have to take my word for it. Lately, some of the people who know Donald Trump best have been saying in no uncertain terms that he should not be president again. The other day, General John Kelly, Donald Trump's former chief of staff, said that Trump told him he wanted his generals to be like Hitler's generals. Now, don't boo. Vote. Now, I want to explain that in politics, a good rule of thumb is don't say you want to do anything like Hitler. You know, that's just good political advice. But it is useful because it gives us a window into how Donald Trump thinks. And John Kelly isn't the only one saying this. Two of his defense secretaries, people who worked for him, said the same thing. His chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, that is the top of the top brass in our military, said he is dangerous. Now, I happen to know John Kelly and Mark Miller. They served under me when I was commander-in-chief. These are serious people. This is a decorated soldier and Marine who served in battle. They are not, quote unquote, woke liberals. They are people who have never in the past even talked about politics because they believe that the military should be above politics. But the reason they're speaking up is because they have seen that in Donald Trump's mind, the military does not exist to serve the Constitution or the American people. He doesn't see being commander-in-chief as a solemn, sacred responsibility, just like everything else. He thinks the military exists to do his bidding, to serve his interests. He said if he's elected, he'll use that military to go after, quote, the enemy within, which he defines as anybody who criticizes him or refuses to bend the knee. He can't handle that. And unlike the first time, he won't have people like John Kelly around to stop him. He'll be surrounded by people who are just as loony as he is and who will let him do what he wants. And so my question to you, Georgia, is how
Is any of that going to help you? We do not need 4 years of a wannabe king, a wannabe dictator running around trying to punish his enemies. That's not what you need in your life. America's ready to turn the page. We are ready for a better story. Georgia, we're ready for a President Kamala Harris.
All right, so Harris comes out and she's great. She's loved by the crowd. Tomorrow, maybe, just maybe, another celebrity and a poet. You cannot say she is not a poet. Yeah, the Queen. We'll see if Miss B shows up at Harris's event tomorrow, and which would be today. See, I'm kind of crazy at this because I'm recording this late Thursday. But I'm going to, by the time I edit it and post it, it's going to be Friday. So this is like Friday's podcast. I am Gloria Moronga. I am the political woman. And I vote. I have voted. I'm actually reading Alexei Navalny's book. These are the notes that his wife smuggled out of prison when he was being tortured by Putin and eventually murdered by Putin. And book's called The Patriot. Please buy it. Before I close, I just want to mention, when you talk about Russia and people in our government cozying up to Russia, I would call that treason. Elon Musk, the CEO of Tesla and SpaceX, has reportedly been in contact with Russian President Vladimir Putin since late 2022, according to a new report in the Wall Street Journal. And just for all y'all who criticize and say, oh, you libs, Wall Street Journal is a conservative publication. Elon Musk rakes in millions in government contracts from the United States. And he's in close contact with the Russian president, who's a dictator and an enemy of this country. I don't want to end on such a dark note. We have to be careful of snakes, though, don't we? I am Gloria Moraga. I'm political woman. I'll have more on that story later in the next podcast. Please be safe, and please vote. Don't boo. Don't applaud. Don't get angry. Vote. We've got to win this one. Be safe. See you tomorrow.